In this episode, we're going to get into lessons learned from eight-figure CEOs. These are lessons that we've learned along the way in our own journey, and we've learned from other CEOs who are implementing them within their own business. These are common traits of highly successful CEOs that you can take and implement within your own business from the get-go. Let's get started.
Yeah, I'm very excited because these are I love talking about what gets people success, and this is one of my favorite topics. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the first trait that we've seen that 8-9-figure CEOs have. That is focus, right? Singularity of focus and commitment to that one big goal that they have for themselves.
We find this all the time that the CEOs who are extremely successful, they are hyper-focused on the path that they're on. They're staying in their lane. They're focusing on their journey without getting distracted by all of the things that we all are exposed to, right? It's common to be exposed to all kinds of different things. But these CEOs are constantly working in their own lane.
And, we've done this for our business, I think pretty early on, where we read this book, The One Thing, and that changed our perspective on how we run our business and how we grow and scale our business. And really that book talks about how, people talk about discipline, right? We're like, oh, you have to be disciplined and you have to, wake up at the same time every day and, work the same number of hours and have this disciplined life, which is good. And I do believe in that being disciplined helps you become a good version of yourself. But one thing that is even more important than that is saying no to 80% of the things, right? Figuring out what that one thing is that you need and dreaming big, right? And that people do for the most part is like people can come up with a big dream, but then you need to commit to that vision or that whatever that big goal is, and then say no to everything else. And whenever an opportunity comes up or whenever a new, shiny object comes along, your question should be, is this going to help me get to that one big goal that I have for myself? And, it's commitment to that one big goal. But one other thing that really helped us scale up business was during COVID, right? It was a horrible time for people around the world, and it was a very difficult time, even for us, right?
Even for us, it was a hard time.
It's hard not to see people. We had family members that passed away, and it was
tough.
It was tough.
Our parents were overseas and they're elderly, and it was tough for us in a lot of different ways. But
the silver lining
Yes.
for us was that it just forced us to focus on what was just in front of us, right? We couldn't go on vacations. We couldn't, see our friends. We didn't have weekend plans for, a few months. And that allowed us to focus on our goals. And we just became obsessed with, achieving that. And that just made it so much easier for us to achieve our goals. That one year, we grew so much in our business.
And even though, if you think about it, it was also hard to get focused because our kids were home. There was virtual learning. There was a toddler. there were so many things going on. We didn't have any support. But the business grew tremendously because we were so focused. We got so much done.
Yes. So trait number 2 that 8-figure CEOs have is being long-term focused versus being transactional.
And this is a parallel between wealth building and business relationships. So we often talk about wealth building. We say, hey, say no to all of these transactional ways of making money in real estate. We're not into flips. We're not into everything that gets you income only while you're working at it, right? So because wealth is built long-term, you have to create assets. Think of your business relationships as an asset. Don't think of getting results day one. This is something that you're going to nurture over time, and you're going to tap into it, or maybe not. But that's not what you're in it for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like going to the gym for 2 days and then looking yourself in a mirror to see if you have biceps. Right? it takes longer time to do anything. Any meaningful goal in life takes time to achieve.
Absolutely. And one example of it is when we first got started investing, there was one brokerage that had a lot of REO listings. If you don't know what REOs are, they're real estate owned listings that are bank owned that are given to a brokerage to list on the MLS. And this brokerage got really good listings, and I wanted to form a really good relationship with the broker. And so the very first listing that we put an offer on, it was not a slam dunk deal. So when we negotiated, I found that, it would be really nice to get it down by a few $1,000s. But in order to form this relationship, we let go of that few $1,000s because what we wanted was to have this relationship with them where they understood that we are in it for the long term. Our relationship with them mattered more than a few $1,000s. And that allowed us to have that, as new investors, we have to work harder. We were new investors, then you have to work harder to build these relationships. So we let go of the few $1,000s that we could have negotiated down further in order to form this relationship with this broker. And over time, we've acquired many, many properties from them. And it has more than paid for itself, right? That
Absolutely.
relationship.
Absolutely. And, this is not just this is one example, but you
Right.
can apply this to so many different things in life and in business. The third trait that we see in eight-figure CEOs is that they constantly work on themselves,
Yes.
right? Like constantly working on improving their mindset, on improving who they are as a person.
And you would think that the farther along you are in your journey, the less you have to work on. It's not true. Because every step of the way, our mindset, who we are as a person, if that doesn't grow, the business is not going to grow because your business is a reflection of who you are. So when we're sitting in masterminds with these 8, 9 figure CEOs, we often see them use terms that are based that are rooted in psychology, that are rooted in, you'd find therapists use terms like that because these CEOs have really worked on themselves. They don't mind working on their own mental health because they understand that their growth is related to that. So when you sit in these meetings, you'll often see psychology terms thrown around because they're working on themselves all the time.
Yes. And it's not just for business, right?
Right.
They're always thinking about, okay, how do I be a better father, or how do I be a better mom, or better
Partner for
partner,
yeah.
or better son or daughter. And they're always trying to improve themselves and trying to see how they can be a better version of themselves. And all of that collectively, it puts them in that space where
Right.
they're always embracing change, right? Because whenever you are, and it's not comfortable.
Not
The reason
comfortable.
most people don't do this is very uncomfortable to
Yeah.
think about, who you are as a person and how you could do things better. And change is not easy,
Right.
but when you're committed to, being a better version of yourself, that's when that's what attracts success to you.
Absolutely. We have our chief of staff, and I had asked her to run team meetings because we used to run the team meetings. And this specific part of the team, I said, here, you take over this, you start running these team meetings. And somehow I would never block anything during those times because I wanted to pop in because I couldn't get myself out of that execution mindset. And then one day she's like, can I ask for a huge favor? And she said, could you not show up to this meeting? And I said, you're doing a favor to me because I needed somebody to tell me that I need my team to be able to do what they're good at and step out of the way, get out of their way. And these are the learnings that we're constantly having. And I had to work on myself, right? I had to think, why do I feel the need to go in and check on them? Why do I feel the need to not let them do what they're good at? And it required me to get uncomfortable, dig deep into why I want to be that way and change myself.
Absolutely. Trait number 4 that we see eight-figure CEOs have is, adding value first, right? Putting out this energy in the world where they're doing something without expecting something in return. And this is something that we're always trying to do is, and they say that you attract the kind of people based on the person that you are.
Yes.
Right. So, and we all want great people in our lives, and really generous people in our lives, and kind people in our lives. And for that, we have to be that first.
Right.
And same thing for business, right? If you want to work with good quality vendors, and if you want to attract a good quality team that works for you, you need to put out that energy in the world that you're there to give.
Right. And we see this all the time. Even in our community, we see there are people who are asking, how do I get the best accountability partner? How do I get the best accountability group? And there are certain people who are asking that question. And then there are certain people who have multiple people asking them to be a part of their accountability group. And the big difference we see is that the people who are constantly adding value to other people without expecting anything in return, those are the people that everyone wants to be around. Everyone wants them on their team. They want them to be in their accountability group. So if you want to be wanted, if you want to be desired by other business owners to be on their side, to be in their community, give more before expecting anything.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite ones. And then finally, this is another trait that we see in eight-figure CEOs is uh, not looking at problems in the business
Mm-hmm.
as the business being the problem, right?
Oh, that's so
So a lot
interesting.
of
Yeah.
times we think that something is not working. For example, if you're doing real estate and if you're buying and holding properties like we do, if say, for example, there's an eviction that happens, or an unexpected issue happens in the property that you need money to try and fix that. And, we tend to think that a lot of times we tend to think that our business is the problem. We're like,
Right.
this is just painful. I need to go to this other business where there's no problems or seemingly no problem.
Right. Because I'm
Right.
not in it. So how am I going to know about
Yeah.
it?
So I've seen eight-figure CEOs do this differently, where they look at problems in the business as just problems in the business. And they're going and attacking these problems every day, expecting there to be challenges.
Mhm.
Because guess what? If you have a rental portfolio and the larger a rental portfolio you have, there are going to be issues, right? And Leila Hermosi actually puts it really well. She's an eight-figure CEO, and she says, every upside has a downside, right? So every time you start a new business, or every time you create a new revenue stream, or every time you start, you buy an asset, there's going to be some downside risk associated with
Right.
that, and that is going to happen. If you have a big portfolio of properties, there are going to be issues in those properties. There are going to be things that break, right? There are going to be evictions from time to time, and
Right.
you just as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, your job is to solve those problems rather than saying, oh, my business is broken and let me go do something else.
Right. And I'm always saying that the level of problems is only going to get bigger. Stakes are only going to get bigger as your business grows. So if you start thinking that the business is a problem in the beginning, instead of thinking, hey, how do I solve this problem? How do I make myself better so I'm able to solve this problem? If you don't think that, you're not preparing yourself for the stakes that are going to get bigger. If you want to be a higher level business owner, you're going to have to learn how to solve the lower level problems first.
Absolutely. And as you grow, and as you said, as you scale your business, the problems don't go away. You
No.
just get better at dealing with them, right?
And they
That's
only
what
get
happens.
bigger.
Yeah, they only get bigger. And you just get better at dealing with them. You get
Right.
better at solving those problems and really looking at it as just a challenge as the business, a
Right.
challenge in the business rather than, oh, my business is the problem.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that is a big shift that we've seen that eight-figure CEOs have that everyone needs to make.
Absolutely. So to recap,
So to recap, there's five things that we've seen eight-figure CEOs do that everybody needs to do.
number one,
One is focus on the one thing that really is your biggest goal and then drown out the noise, right? Focus on that one thing. Number two is being long-term focused rather than being transactional.
right.
Number three is constantly improve and working on yourself and being the person that you need to be to attract the success, right? Your success is limited to your personal growth. So always growing as a person. Number four is giving before expecting to
And
receive, right? Always
generosity.
generosity, like be that generous person because that's what you're going to attract. And then finally, um, looking at problems in the business as just challenges and not looking at the entire business as a problem.
Love that.
So those are tips that we've seen. Hope this helps you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye now.